Good morning. This is Lori with Red Dog Homemaking, and today we're going to make biscuits and gravy. Now, I didn't do homemade biscuits today. I'm just going with your typical brand of jumbo biscuits. But normally I like to make my own buttermilk biscuits, but this morning we slept in a little bit, so I'm going with the store-bought. So we're just going to put these in the oven for 15 minutes. Put them like the label says. Alright. And here I'm just browning some sausage that my dad got me. He has a friend that processes pigs, so we're able to get fresh sausage from time to time. And that's what I'm cooking today. It's a nice, it's kind of spicy, but not bad. If you like a little bit of heat, then this would be perfect. Some people add more red pepper to it. You know, it just depends on your like for heat. I'm not a huge spicy person, but I can take a little bit of heat for flavor more or less. So I'm just finishing up browning this, getting it all cooked through, and then we're going to get into the gravy part. As you can see, I went ahead and I sliced some fresh tomatoes because I love to eat biscuits and gravy with fresh tomatoes. And these are actually out of my backyard garden, which makes it even nicer. I've had a hard time with my garden this year with bugs and the weird winter, or actually the weird start of summer. We're here in North Carolina, and we had a very cold May, so it kind of stunted my garden. So now things are finally starting to come out. So I feel like I'm going to be doing my summer vegetables well into the fall. So we'll see. Which I'll do some videos on some of my planting later. We are just about done using my little handy dandy Pampered Chef tool. This is wonderful when cooking hamburger and sausage. It chops it, makes, you know, so you don't have big chunks of sausage. I don't like big chunks in my gravy. I like them to be kind of uniform. So you just chop it. I got this from a sweet friend, Hannah Riley. You can look her up. She's a Pampered Chef consultant. She does wonderful videos, how-to videos on how to use their products. Always has a smile on her face. Just a very kind person. Very much a godly woman. She's just a great example for the rest of us. So if you're interested in this little gadget, which I highly recommend, just go to pamperedchef.com, look up a consultant. It's Hannah Riley in Durham, North Carolina. And she will fix you right up with all their neat gadgets. I have too many to mention. Okay. So, most people, I guess it depends on who's making the gravy. Me, I like to leave the sausage in the pan. Some people remove it and then they make their gravy and then they add the sausage back. I don't do that. So what I'm going to do here, I forgot my flour, guys. Give me just a second. Let me get that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 1/4 cup of butter. Just cut it off your stick, or you can use the tub, whatever you use. And I'm going to melt that right there in the middle. And then I'm going to take an equal part and do equal parts of flour. Turn this heat down a little bit. Popping. You've got the grease from the sausage, and then you've got the butter and the flour, and you just literally sprinkle it all throughout your meat, okay? And I know this is kind of weird looking, and you're probably like thinking, what? But trust me, it works. So equal parts flour and butter. I use King Arthur's unbleached all-purpose flour. It's the same one that I use for my sourdough starter. I use whatever kind of butter. It doesn't really matter with that. We're going to whisk this flour. We're probably going to need a little bit more flour. It really just depends on how much oil is stirred up from the sausage and the butter, because you want a nice dusting of flour in here, because that's what's going to ultimately thicken up your gravy. So yes, I'm going to add a little bit more, okay? Probably another 1/4 cup. So we're going to go with a 1/2 cup of flour total, because there's a lot of liquid here. Okay. And again, this is kind of eyeballing things. You know what you're looking for. You're looking for a thick kind of coating over your sausage, so when you pour the milk in, it will you know, thicken up over time as you whisk it. Okay, you see it's kind of looking creamy almost on the sausage. So I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and add my milk. And again, I want a big pan of gravy because my husband and my daughter and I, we are starving. So we're going to make quite a bit of gravy with this. I would say it's probably about 2 cups of milk, but again, eyeball it in your pan. You can never have too much of anything. Like if you find that your gravy's too soupy, add a little more flour. If you find that it's too thick, add a little more milk. Like, it's really kind of a play with type of recipe. And there's many recipes out there to follow that are pretty straightforward. And you just whisk it. And I'm going to turn my heat back up so I can get it to boil. Once the gravy starts to boil is when you're going to see it starting to thicken up. And, you know, really take its shape. And, you know, once you get it to the thickness, the consistency that you want, which I like to get it to like a pouring consistency, once it's there, pull it off the heat, because the longer you cook it, the thicker it's going to get. So you're in full control of this dish, just remember that. But it's very important to constantly whisk, get those little bits off the bottom of the pan, because that is what is flavoring your gravy, that and your sausage, which this was seasoned sausage. I am going to add a little bit of salt and pepper here at the end, but you know, some people just get plain, but you control the flavors by what you like in it. You know, people like red pepper, people like just black pepper and salt. It's all up to you. Some people like some Creole seasoning because they want it really spicy. It's really whatever your taste buds like. This is pretty much a basic sausage gravy. And like I said, my sausage was seasoned. So you can see the little flakes of red pepper in here. So I'm using that to my advantage. But I will have to put some salt and pepper in at the end, just because of the amount of milk that I used. It waters it down. So I'm just going to add just a little bit, just because of our taste buds. So we're going to let that come to a boil. Which it's starting. And again, you're going to just keep on whisking. And it's starting to thicken up now. You can see it's starting to boil there in the middle. And it's a thick boil, so that's a good sign. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my heat and just kind of let it boil with that, because it's going to thicken up pretty quick. We're starting out this Sunday morning with some Journey. Hope you like it. You can see it's thickening up now. It's getting a little more dense Got a little butter around the edge here. You want to pull that back in because the butter flavors it. You just want to keep moving this gravy so that it's completely mixed in. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Sunday morning. I know I am. It's a beautiful day. We've had one of the hottest weeks, I think, in history here in Durham. But I'm not complaining. A sunny day is much better than a rainy day. So I just find things to do inside if it's too hot. I just got a little bit over the edge there. Alright, I'm just going to keep on whisking. As you see, it's thickening up. You can tell in the way the bubbles are that it is finally getting to its consistency that I needed it to be at. Okay. So here's where I'm going to add my black pepper because I want good flavor. You don't have to add a lot. If you don't like a lot, you don't even have to add any. It's up to you. This is totally important. That's your flavor. I'm going to add some Redmond salt. This is the best salt you can use. Trust me on that. It is wonderful. And I'm using about probably a teaspoon. Okay. And that's, again, just to flavor it. You've got plenty of salt in the butter and the sausage, but I like just a little bit more. As you see, this is a beautiful gravy. If I just quit sloshing it out the pan. Getting more on the stove than I am in the pan, guys. But as you see, it has really come together, made a gorgeous gravy. And this is what you want. This is exactly what you want. Nice, thick, bubbly gravy, white gravy. I'm just stirring in the butter because, as you see, the butter it's going around the outer part of the pan, and that's okay. You just stir it back in, bring it back to the middle, just so that you know it's all mixed well. And look at that. That is beautiful gravy, guys. That is what I call a perfect gravy. Let me get my biscuits. Pull those out. Got made a mess there. Well, they might need a little bit longer. Okay. We're gonna cook those a couple more minutes. Boy, I am making a mess. See? Way to go, Lori. We're gonna just take that out and get us a clean whisk, because now I am fully making a mess. It's all right. Things happen. Okay. So now that this gravy is done, you see I've made a mess on my stove. Let me just make sure I keep whisking because you don't want it to burn on the bottom. You guys see it okay? Sorry, I had to pull away because that burner's hot. Alright, so that is ready. And we'll be right back. Okay, so now that we've got our gravy ready, we have our tomatoes sliced. I'm going to go ahead and pull these biscuits out. These are perfect. And again, I use store-bought today, but we much rather, oh my gosh, I can't even talk. We much rather homemade biscuits with our biscuits and gravy, but today we slept in a little bit, so we're getting a little bit of a late start. So I'm going to just take one of these biscuits, open it up, open that biscuit up. Okay. And I'm going to grab a couple of slices of fresh tomato just because that's what I like. Okay. All right. And then we're just going to ladle the gravy over the biscuits. As you can see, nice thick gravy. That's the way we want it. Don't want it too runny, too thick. It's got to be just right. And this will come with practice. You'll learn your consistency over time. But as you can see, there it is. And that's it, guys. That's today's lesson. Biscuits and gravy out of my kitchen. I'm Lori with Red Dog Homemaking, and I appreciate you watching. If you will, just go and like this video and subscribe. I'm going to have a lot more content coming out, and I'd love to have you follow along. Okay, guys, y'all enjoy your Sunday. We appreciate your support.